someone that I know shared on like Instagram or Snapchat like a photo of them when they were visiting family incoming.
Right.
And they had a geotag that said "Coming Georgia," but it was in like white liquidy looking lettering.
Well, that's just too far.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of PsychoActivision Presents. I am your host, Peter Strickland, and we've got a great episode for you today. Before we get started, I wanted to ask you to like this video on YouTube and subscribe to our PsychoActivision YouTube channel. You can also find an audio version of this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can also visit our website at psychoactivision.com or follow us on Instagram at PsychoActivision to check out our other work and learn more about us. For today's episode, I have the very talented Jackie Whiting in the studio. We had a great conversation, and I'm really excited to share it with y'all. So without further ado, here is PsychoActivision Presents Jackie Whiting. I was gonna ask you if you understood this reference. One of my cat's names is Lucifer Sam. Do you understand that reference?
I don't, but I feel like I should with all that anticipation.
No. It's not that. It's just that you and I have talked before about classic psychedelic bands from like the 60s. And my favorite Pink Floyd album is their first one, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn. And they have a song about a cat called Lucifer Sam.
Yeah. Now I'm putting it together. Yeah, I mean... Speaking of which,
I'm assuming you've heard that album before,
yes,
right?
yeah. Well, that Sid Barrett stuff is just so, you have to hear it, you know?
Yeah.
But, we did talk about music, and this is something that happened so recently, and I, want to get your thoughts on it. Mike Nesmith. We lost Mike Nesmith. I know you're a Monkees fan.
Yes. Sorry, it took me a second.
Yeah, I know.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
I mean... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I grew up with the Monkees. Like, the Monkees were one of my favorite bands. And, man, that hit home. That was really...
I guess, how old was he?
I want to say, 76, 78, maybe? I don't know. I mean, not, super old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was on tour, too. They were on tour, and him and Mickey.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the remaining two Monkees were... I don't think they were on tour when he died. I mean, I don't know. I really haven't done all the research, but I know they were at one point in the middle of a tour.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's actually, I don't know if I should mention this, but I'm going to. There is this, I'm part of a lot of Monkees groups on Facebook. In fact, I used to run one, but.
Yeah, that's funny.
And you meet some real nuts in these groups. You know? But there was this campaign started by this woman, I can't remember her name, but it was about Free Nesmith, especially when the Free Britney stuff was going around, because apparently he had a, a manager or caretaker that was also his girlfriend that was kind of mind washing him in a way, she was keeping him.
So he had a Brian Jones situation.
Yeah.
Or, wait, no,
Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah.
I'm mixing up my 60s icons. Yeah. Brian Wilson situation.
Yeah, she it was kind of like that, except they were lovers, so there was that, and I think that you could watch these videos and you could tell he was just a little bit frail. I don't know, there was a lot of speculation in this group, and I'm going down this rabbit hole of this particular theory, but I mean, they were thinking that she was starving him and just keeping him really high most of the time, on weed.
Yeah.
Just to keep him mellow, but there was a theory that he was being starved.
That's I didn't realize that there was such a dark
I'll send you
story
the link,
there.
But
No, yeah, for sure. Because I feel like I need to research a little more now. But I was gonna say,
I'm sorry to dampen the mood.
I think ever since I watched the movie Love and Mercy, I kind of rethought my idea of basically every classic feel good group, if that makes sense. Because if you watch movies like even the movie Ray about Ray Charles, you end up realizing that all these artists from the past, they have sometimes made like happy songs, or they may have had this like good life to the public persona, but in real life they were, suffering, or they were, yeah.
Well, wouldn't you say that a lot of that artistry has to come out of a little bit of darkness?
You know what? I think I believe that a lot more now than ever, just because I was talking to someone about this recently, that I've been listening to a lot of comedy podcasts, and it seems like every single like great comedian that I love has a really like a fucked up story. I mean, and it's not like you have to in order to be like a good comedian, but I think that
it helps. For
musicians, having kind of like a either rags to riches story, or like a story of being like a nobody, or kind of coming from nothing and then becoming something, that's definitely like a story that everyone loves. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with that.
Well, with music too, I mean, a lot of I mean, I'm not like super familiar with stand-up comedians and stuff like that, but for me, music has to be obviously a lot more personal. So you get to know these artists and writers' personal lives because they're sharing a glimpse of that with you, and in the hopes that it resonates, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's just that we know so much more about their lives, and the good and the bad. I mean, even like the Brian Wilson story, nobody knew the extent of it at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like with his dad and stuff like that, like in the 60s. But that stuff comes out, and I mean, like, it's kind of like Hollywood too, like old school movie stars like Joan Crawford, you know what I mean? Like, how badly she was probably treated by studio executives, but we'll never know because she didn't talk about it, because you just didn't. Yeah. Now that stuff comes out, Yeah. But back then, I mean, it's not that the world has gotten any darker, it's just that we know more about it.
I completely agree. It's like when I have a couple, love them, but grandparents that over the years, they would talk about how like things have gotten so violent in the world. And I would be like, well, I wouldn't say this out loud, but I'd be thinking, weren't like the medieval times like the most violent? Like really when most people, either died in duels, or, you just battle or war, or disease.
Like, I mean, I don't know. I would have to do a little bit more research, but I would venture to guess that the crime, rate was just as it is now, if not close, in the 50s and 60s. It's just you didn't hear about it as much. Now we are just so overwhelmed with information constantly that we hear everything. And so naturally you're going to be more resonant to the bad stuff. So
yeah, absolutely.
Just that, I mean, there wasn't 24-hour news.
Yeah. Okay, real quick, before we kind of transition more into more formal questions.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say, or ask you if you wanted to like plug anything, or promote, social media shows or album singles, things like that.
Yeah, well, of course, we're always appreciative of everyone following us on Instagram, and that's at Zyxband, ZYXBAND. Give us a follow. We'd really appreciate it. And if you come to our show and prove that you followed us, we'll get you that sticker for free.
Nice.
One right here, And at this point, we've had an album out now since July. July 31st is when we put it out. It's a little shorty album, only 9 songs, but we're still keeping that thing streaming on Spotify, Apple Music, Titleist if you're bad, whatever.
Wait, it's not Tidal. Is it Tidal? It's Tidal.
Oh, Tidal, yeah.
Tidal, yeah.
No, Titleist is my friend's band. Check them out, actually.
Titleist is also a golf ball company.
Yeah. Which golf is cool too. No, my friends are Titleist. Check them out.
Yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, but show-wise, we have January 14th in Athens. This is actually going to be our Athens debut. We've never played at Athens.
Nice.
It's kind of hard to get into, honestly. I don't know if you've ever. Because, we went to Auburn. There wasn't really a music scene, but with Athens, I don't know there is. And so it's like, it's kind of hard to get into, though, because they're a little cliquey a little bit,
Where is that show in Athens?
Oh, God, I think it's Lord's Bar or something like that.
Okay, cool.
Does that sound right? Lord's Bar. It's on Clayton Street.
I don't know. I mean, I've been to Athens, I think 3 times, and I really enjoyed it. I've only been to one like show there, and it was at the 40 Watt Club.
Yeah,
which is a really cool venue.
It's a great venue. Yeah,
it's a really interesting venue because it's really big for how small it. Like, it's not a large, like there's not, big bands playing there necessarily. I mean, it's more local music. But my point is, it's a large space and a really cool venue for it being, local stuff, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's there's almost like even when we were playing in bands in high school, there was just such a stigma about Athens, because there's a name and all these groups have come from Athens. But
that's true, yeah.
This is our Athens debut at January 14th at Lord's Bar. And then the next day, if you happen to be in Opelika, Alabama, we're going to be playing at Rock and Roll Pinball, which is a really cool place.
Nice.
In downtown Opelika, which I didn't really, when I was at Auburn, I didn't go downtown Opelika. I didn't know how to get there. But now that I've been back and been downtown Opelika, it's beautiful. There's so many cool buildings and stores and bars, restaurants, whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just a really cool part of the country. You know?
So I'm from Opelika, and it's kind of interesting because it's a lot different now than it was when I was in middle school and high school.
Oh, really?
Within the past 10 years, it's the downtown area has developed a lot. I mean, when I was literally 10 years ago, 2011, I was like a senior in high school. There were no breweries, distilleries, really like bars to speak of. I mean, it was pretty much, and certainly no like music venues.
Yeah.
It was pretty much just like a lot of warehouses. That was when it was kind of first starting to pop up though. And then, by like 2013, 2014, there were a lot of nice restaurants down there. And then they got the first brewing companies down there. So like Opelika has changed a lot over the past, 10 years or so. And that Rock and Roll Pinball place, I've been wanting to go there just, for a lot of reasons, but it's a cool concept. And it seems like, I would enjoy it. Did you get to play some pinball?
Yeah, of course.
Nice.
We've played there, I think, 2 times now, maybe.
Nice.
Maybe 3. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of, at least I'll speak on my behalf, one of my favorite places to play at. I'm sure that they would say the same. Number one, the games are awesome. I mean, they have Kiss Pinball.
Oh, that's right.
Alice Cooper Pinball, Metallica. But then they also have like Star Trek, like cool things like that. But their stage is really nice. So the pinball is in like the front of the building, and then you kind of go outside a little bit, which is going to be brutal. January 15th. It's
Oh, so you're
super cold.
Yeah.
And then it's inside this like. They call it the jailhouse. I would assume it's an old jailhouse. It's like an old weathered building where they built this stage, and now they have a platform, and they have a great sound system. And I mean, it typically fills up. So I'm excited to go back there. And that's January 15th. So
nice. Anything else to promote? Pretty much.
That's pretty much it. Well, I'm in January 21st at Sweetwater Bar and Grill in Duluth. You ever been there? It's like a rite of passage. A lot of bands play there.
I've seen, I've seen people book shows there, but I've never actually been.
Me either. I think I've never even been there. We were supposed to play there March 23rd, 2020, so you can imagine that got canceled.
Yeah.
But apparently it's a pool place. Apparently they also let you like smoke a cigarette inside. Apparently that's still allowed.
I didn't think that was allowed. Maybe it's just Atlanta that it's not allowed.
I
and
guess.
technically that's far enough out.
Gwinnett County, so it might as well. Yeah.
Anything goes out there.
Anything goes in Gwinnett. That's what they should make their slogan or something like that. Hey, call me.
It's probably the more accurate, slogan for Gwinnett County. Just anything goes.
Yeah, I love Gwinnett County though. It's got such a charm,
My favorite like Georgia thing, like Atlanta area thing, is the city coming, and how they embrace it, and they have like shirts that say like I love coming and things like that. Like,
or the Toyota dealership is Beaver Toyota. Yeah. I'm from Flowery Branch, which is not too far. It's just on the other side of the lake of Cumming. So a lot of times we go to Cumming, and as soon as you drive into Cumming, there's the first shopping center you see. The 2 anchor stores that are big and bold on the sign are a BJ's membership club and Dick's Sporting Goods.
Nice.
So where else but Cumming?
I remember a few years ago, I mean, this is someone that I know shared on like Instagram or Snapchat, like a photo of them when they were visiting family incoming.
Right.
And they had a geotag that said Cumming, Georgia, but it was in like white, liquidy looking lettering.
Well, that's just too far.
Yeah.
You know what though? Like at least I don't know who's on the council there, but at least I would actually venture to guess that the people on the council at the city of Cumming have no clue what a Snapchat geotag is. Like, you know, that.
Well, and that's the thing, because like from what I understand, you can buy them for pretty cheap. It might be like $6 a day or something. You know?
Oh yeah. Anyone can
yeah.
make one. In fact, actually, that's not a bad way to promote.
It really isn't.
Yeah.
Although I would think that you'd either have to be really specific about it and be like, this is one, or I mean, because like if someone's in like South Atlanta and they're trying to find it, they're like, it's nowhere because you guys tagged it in North Atlanta. I don't know. I don't really know how those act, you know, but.
Well, we did it, there was, you know, I used to do summer stock theater.
Yeah.
And one summer we were doing a production of $1 Million Quartet, and they, the marketing or like box office or whatever at this theater bought and designed a thing to promote the show.
Yeah.
But I guess that's probably a little easier than having to be like, come to Smith Soul Bar on this date. You know, but you know what you got to do? Actually, I'm not going to say this on camera because this is too good of an idea.
Okay.
No, I'm going to say it anyways. You know what you do is you promote it, but you don't tell people what it is. Then they'll inevitably show up.
Okay.
You give them the details. You tell them, you know, Smith Soul Bar upstairs or whatever the case.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just making up a show. All right. So say we're playing there upstairs. Well, that's all it'll say on there is come to, well, maybe not come. We said that enough. Arrive at Smith Soul Bar on, you know, such and such date at this time for a surprise or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that mystery will intrigue people.
I see what you're saying. You know, have you ever been to like a secret show or something? Have you ever heard of like, you know, like an artist being like, there's only 200 or 100 tickets for this, you know, secret show in this city?
And that's probably a good way to promote that too. Like if Lil Yachty or something came in here and wanted to do something small. I've never done a secret show. I don't think we have enough interest yet.
No. I meant like, have you ever?
Oh, been to one?
Yeah, as a concert
goer.
No,
I've never.
I mean, me either, because I'm not special enough. You know, I've never been asked.
I'm out of the loop too. I'm in my own world, you know.
But no one's ever asked.
Well, it depends, and it depends where. Actually, one time I was walking, you know, I was just going to the Beltline with a friend or whatever, and all of a sudden I hear beautiful metal music, and I'm like, what is that? And I stumbled upon a house show.
Nice.
So I didn't know who it was. I never got anyone's name. I didn't know anyone there, so I didn't feel really like comfortable. This is also during the pandemic, so you know, I was like, I stayed there for a second. I was like, I gotta get out of here. But it was pretty good. So if you were a band that played probably, this is probably June, at a little house pop-up show with an artist that was selling T-shirts around the Beltline, you guys kicked ass.
All right, you heard it here first.
I wish I could find them. I really do. It was It was a trio. I love a trio. So.
Yeah. It really is disappointing when you, I've had plenty of times where I heard, you know, a band playing it at like a bar as I walked by or something, and I thought they were good, but I didn't have time to stop. And so, but let me get into some questions now.
Yeah, sure.
So first off, one thing, you know, I was a little curious about because I never really asked you about this. Where does y'all's name? Where does the Zix name come from? I mean, can I tell you a couple of ideas that I had?
Sure.
I was wondering, you know, this has nothing. It might be several of these or none of these, but I realized that ZYX is the last 3 letters of the alphabet backwards. There's that, and then I looked up Zix, and there were a lot of things that came up, and none of them really made sense for why you guys would like. One of them was like the like another name, like a pen name or something for a Canadian cartoonist, you know? So there were a lot of things like that I didn't really think were what you guys were alluding to. So give me an idea of where you guys were going with the name.
You know, it's unfortunately a lot less scholarly than it really should be. I actually remember where we were at. I mean, this was probably November 2019, so we had already like kind of been playing for about a month.
Mm-hmm.
Nico's dad was in a band called Scarlet, and they played a show at Highlander.
Mm-hmm.
You ever been there?
Yeah, I've been there.
By the Trader Joe's or whatever. Is it still open?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, because
I haven't been to a lot of things lately.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so we were there and we were just chilling at the show and we were just trying to come up with a name. We went through a bunch of different stuff. We wanted to call it like Sylvia or something like a woman's name, like, like I said, Sylvia, maybe Daisy. We just like went through like some options. Nothing was really sticking. I wanted to call it Calamity with a K. I don't know. That seemed like it seemed retro and like it seemed like bossy. I don't know. But anyways, and then we were like ABC, and I was like ZYX, and we pronounced Zix. It's the alphabet backwards, just pronounced as a word. It's just as simple as that. We just took it from that moment. I've actually never done any research on it. I probably should figure out this Canadian cartoonist. But I wonder if he is pronouncing it that way, Zix, rather than, because it's really pronounced Zicks, I guess,
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, these were all things that I just kind of glanced at because nothing really seemed to be.
Well, and I like that it's a sound that maybe you've never made before. You know what I mean?
I totally understand that because if we're being honest here, I am pretty judgmental of band names, and when I say that, I mean, and I'm saying all this as a compliment to your band name. Like you just said, it's a sound that anytime you have a Z, you don't, especially at the beginning of a word, there's not a lot of words that start with a Z sound, Zix. I mean, and so that's unique in and of itself. But I'm not a big fan of super plain band names. Just, like especially these days, there's a lot of indie bands that are one word, something like Porches. That's a band,
like
or
Movable,
Tennis.
Yeah, Tennis.
Tennis is a band. But I mean, like, I'm not even just trying to be funny. I literally think someone eventually is going to make a band called like Table, if they haven't already.
No, I'm sure there is.
And then there's some. I'm not just hating on one word names. There's some great ones. Like I love the band Crumb. If you have never heard of Crumb, Crumb's great. But my point is more just that I like band names that are memorable. That everyone yours stands out to me in that way.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I think I definitely agree. Like phonetically, that Z is such a fun shape to make, and it's that buzz, right? It sounds like an amplifier humming. It sounds like getting a tattoo. It sounds like everything we stand for, right?
I understand.
And so right off the bat, like that. I don't know. Like that's why we kind of went with it, because it seemed like a name that we could, or a sound that we could easily mold to our image. And I think image is something that is really important in a band. I mean, you want to look like you at least eat at the same restaurants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see a lot of really incohesive bands, which is not a bad thing by any means, but I mean, it may not always work in your favor.
I think that you can do it deliberately, where it's like, a yin and yang type situation, where, like, you have one person who's wearing a suit, and you have one person who's wearing sloppy, t-shirt and jeans, and the whole
like a Roxy music thing,
and the whole point is the juxtaposition. But I do know what you're saying. Where I've just seen a lot of bands. What I've seen a lot of are bands where there's like three guys who are super like into it, and they have like great clothing that all kind of matches each other, and there's that one guy who's wearing like a shirt that says
the drummer.
It's always the drummer who's wearing a shirt that says something like, "I shaved my balls for this," and you're like, oh.
No, I know exactly what. And the crazy. I feel like I've even seen that T-shirt. Like, I shaved my balls.
I literally have.
Well, and it's not even about the particular clothes you wear. It's just the action behind it. You have to be deliberate. And I'm not saying you have to dress up and you have to wear leather pants and you have to, you know. But if you're going to wear a T-shirt and jeans, make sure you're deliberate in that choice. And, you have a specific outfit that you've thought about for a couple of days that you're going to plan on wearing, because the stage is a very sacred place, You have to treat it as such. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean you can't disrespect it, but not in the way you dress. You know what I mean?
And like, unless you're Johnny Depp or something, you're not usually dressing out in public and in your normal everyday life like the way you're going to on stage.
No.
Usually, you're very casual. Like I doubt that you guys wear what you wear on stage in your normal everyday life,
Well, I mean, sometimes. I'm kidding. But, but that brings up a great point too. And I saw this on Instagram. Somebody sent it to us. I mean, I guess just to validate how bizarre we are. It was a quote by Lemmy who said something like, if you're going to play in a band, you got to really go for it, because nobody wants to see the boy next door. They want to see something they'd never seen, like a bunch of people from the moon,
Yeah, true.
And I think, that really resonates with me. I always love when I go see a show and you can just tell that everybody is really aware of how they're looking right now. And they feel like they look good. Because if you feel like you look good, you play good. And you perform even better. And if you're playing good and you're performing good, then every single show is going to get better and better and better and better.
Yeah.
You're going to figure things out. And you're going to take chances. And those chances are going to pay off or they might not. And then slowly but surely you figure out like a set and choreography and the song and dance, you know what I mean? And then you have a show.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, I mean, it's like not every band is probably comfortable doing that, and that's okay,
Well, I think.
But a performance is always a performance. It doesn't matter how shoegazy you are, how much you're looking down, you're still performing. And there should be an ounce of deliberate intention behind it,
Yeah. Well, I think, there's a lot of flavors that fit everybody's tastes when it comes to like live performance. And like you said, there's some bands that are much more into... They're shoegazy. They're doing what they're...
Which is cool.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of those bands usually compensate with like, projections or visuals of some sort. That's what I've kind of noticed at least.
And that's effective too. And that's where, the deliberate intentions of the performance come out. I just don't like when I see bands and nobody really thought about it before they got on stage.
I totally understand.
You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. Okay, so I wanted to ask you a little bit about, or not ask you, I'll just bring it up,
Yeah.
You guys, Zix released y'all's debut album. It's self-titled this past summer. I did the album artwork for y'all, which was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. I'll put it down here so y'all can see it. It's a great album. I actually recently revisited the album. I listened to it when it first came out, and then hadn't really listened to it until more recently. And I think what I had maybe not appreciated quite as much on the first listen that I really noticed this time through was just how well-rounded the album was. And what I mean is, I liked that y'all had a good mixture of, it seemed like track to track, it was like the energy ebbed and flowed like it was supposed to. Like I really enjoyed how it seemed like the album started on a bang, and then there were times when, there's all sorts of songs on it, but there's like, party anthems like EAV was very much so like that, and then, transitioning into like songs like Dead Weight, which were much more ballady. I guess my whole reason of bringing this up is I just wanted to compliment y'all and just say that I thought the album was really well-rounded, and it had a good arc to it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, we are musicians, but number one, we are music fans.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when we're listening to albums, we're paying attention to that energy, that flow. You want it to have kind of a vapor way, or what is that? Like a cardiology thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Vaporwave is like a design style. But anyways,
yeah.
And so...
You want to have a heartbeat.
Yeah, you want a heartbeat. And it's just like musical theater, right? You have to have an act one, an intermission, and then an act two. And within those acts, there needs to be these little structures and stuff like that. But no, I really appreciate you saying that, because, that's something we did think about and kind of went back and forth on. But honestly, it was pretty obvious once we kind of had all the songs on paper where everything fit, so...
Yeah. That's awesome. I also appreciated, you kind of mentioned, the album being a little short, but I feel like that is kind of a throwback to how albums used to be.
Yeah.
Because I honestly get really tired these days when an album has like 15 to 20 songs and they're all like 5 minutes long. from what I understand, a lot of artists do that these days so that they can get more plays, because the more tracks and I guess the more time on each, I don't know. I mean, the whole point is they want to get them more play time, and they know that their dedicated fans are going to, sit there and listen to the entire thing.
Right.
So my point is, I appreciate when bands can be concise and get out what they're trying to put out, and then not have to, take forever to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you can probably tell, I don't have a great attention span. And so I don't think that I would personally want it to be 15 songs long. It also sounds like a lot of work. You know what I mean? And so, and we were on a budget. I mean, this thing is self-produced too. It's self-funded. So we figured 9 was a good number, and there were songs that we did cut that we just don't play anymore because we had to make that sacrifice. Because 9 was perfect. It was longer than an EP, but not quite like a masterpiece album. It was just right in the middle, and it had the potential to get done really quickly, and that's kind of what we were interested in.
Nice.
But yeah, and love the album artwork. I mean, that was honestly the most fun part, was kind of designing that and working with you to get those pictures at Lynn's head and the layout. So,
do y'all have any plans? A lot of times, and this is no pressure if not, but I was gonna say, a lot of times bands, when they release like a first album, they will have either a second album kind of that they're thinking of, or they'll have a bunch of tracks that didn't make the first album that they're kind of like, do we make these into the second album? Or like, so do you guys have anything you're working on currently writing wise?
We are always writing. I mean, we're just kind of like jammers in that way. You know what I mean? Once we sort of sit down together, something will always show itself. And lyrics, to me, I tend to read a lot, and you can kind of pick up on different phrases and different words. Like I recently came into contact with the word pernicious. Pernicious. And I'm like, that is fantastic. That's going to go really well into a song. You just listen to somebody's conversation and they'll say like the word speculate, and it's like, okay, that's a song too. So we're always kind of writing stuff down. Honestly, what I would want to do is maybe hold off on an album and just do like maybe 4 singles.
Yeah.
And gradually release them. And then they can just kind of be their own intermittent thing, and then eventually get to the place where we need to release another album. You know what I mean? Because the promotion is the hardest thing. As we kind of mentioned before we started recording, like it feels like you're just screaming into a void on social media sometimes.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to walk this line because you don't want to annoy everybody and lose all your fan base or followers and friends and stuff like that. But at the same time, you got to show them what's up,
Yeah. No, I totally understand. It's especially, it feels like, within the past year or two even, social media like Instagram has gotten more, it's a little bit less accessible. Like it almost feels like more people are shadow banned, or, you don't really get noticed unless you have a sponsored post or, pay for your exposure.
And the Instagram has a weird algorithm, I feel like. Some people's posts I just never see, and yet I follow them, and it's just because like.
Don't you miss the good old days when Instagram was like...
When it was chronological?
When it was chronological, and so if you went on there, you would reach a point where you stopped scrolling because it was like, you're seeing posts you've already seen.
Yeah.
And you knew when you got there... You knew when you got there that you had gone through everything. And actually Facebook, like I haven't been on Facebook for, a year and a half or so, but I think Facebook's like that now too, where they don't show you chronological. They show... I mean, maybe you can filter it like that, but...
Yeah. I wonder if you can. I bet you can't filter Instagram though, because that I was actually thinking about that the other day. Like that was my favorite, like way to relax. Was that chronological Instagram? So much simpler. Now we're talking nostalgic, which doesn't mean that because we're nostalgic about it doesn't mean it was better. But
no. But it was simpler.
It was cohesive.
And you know what I miss? I miss the days when Instagram was not overrun by, like, I miss the days when if a business had an Instagram, they were a cool hip business.
Yeah.
Now, you're actually kind of lame if you have an Instagram. I mean, when I say that, I mean, obviously I'm being a little facetious, but my point is more just that, you know, these days it's so much dumb promotion that you have to do that people feel compelled to do. When it used to be, you know, oh, if someone just posts, if a bakery just posts the thing of their cookies and they say, hey, here's our cookies today, like that was like oh my gosh, like that's groundbreaking because you didn't pay for that advertising. But now it's like, no, that's just run-of-the-mill social media.
Yeah. And it's a full-time job, you know what I mean? It's a full-time job. We have a, you know, obviously when you're in a band, you meet a lot of people, other people in bands, and everyone's trying to figure this social media thing out because it's complex, especially when you're just starting out and you're having to burden, honestly, your friends, which I of course appreciate all my friends who have been there for us in the beginning, but it is a burden because you know, at first you have to make your community and you have to figure out the ones who will listen, and then you just have to sell them on a product that they don't want, and it's hard, but you just got to keep doing it, and it gets old. But like with the businesses too on Instagram, I mean, I don't know if have you ever like run a promotion on Instagram, like
no,
you know, what is that, like it like shares it with people, you know, it's like an ad,
like a sponsored post,
or
no, I've never done one of those,
boosting the post,
but I know I've been, they ask me all the time.
Well, it sometimes it does pay out. I mean, you just have to really focus in on what or who you're trying to reach. The more broader you make it, yes, more people will see it, but less people will interact with it. That's what I've kind of found. But Instagram is both my favorite and least favorite social media.
Same. It's been. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say there's just something about it. You know what I mean? It's like a very toxic ex-lover. Like it's like I just can't let go.
Do you like TikTok?
I do, but I don't have to get on it every day.
No,
you know? But when I do get on it, I enjoy it.
Same. It's more for me that I'll find a bunch of funny TikToks, send them to a couple people, and then and then I'll not go on for like a week or two. Yeah,
it's one of those things too. As soon as you get on there, somebody sent you like 75 things.
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, I think it is going to be strange for people's attention span. I mean, I'm not saying TikTok's the whole reason for this, but if attention spans are already, you know, that short that you have to have, like, originally TikTok was like pretty short videos. I mean, it's like 15 seconds.
But that's changed now. I mean, now they have.
Now it's actually kind of annoying because if someone will start telling their life story and you're like, oh man, this is a 3-minute video.
Oh, see, I get invested in that. I'm bad too. I mean, if I watch everybody's Instagram live, I'm just kind of obsessed with it. Especially, you know, I tend to follow people with a lot of drama.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, they just love to share about it. But that's the thing about TikTok, and honestly, we need to get better about posting TikToks, is that they have just so many people on there that inevitably, like, you're going to reach 200 people, which is crazy.
That's what I do like about TikTok, is that it's the only time that I've ever gotten a lot of, like, you get followers kind of quickly a lot quicker than like Instagram. And it's not, I don't know any of them. On Instagram, I had to know a lot of the people that started following me at first.
Yeah, well, that's the Instagram doesn't have a good, you know, when you're on Instagram and
the discover.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
That doesn't do anything for me. I've never once clicked through it.
Yeah.
But TikTok, man, that's the only place to go. You know what I mean? And it mixes your followers in there, which would not work with Instagram, but I don't know. Maybe the people at Instagram will hire us and we'll kick it old school with them, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I love all social media, but just for the entertainment. I mean, it really is amazing what people put out there.
Yeah.
It is fascinating how much people want to share.
Oh, yeah. It's a little disturbing sometimes. And then, because, like, remember when YouTube was just, like, it was really silly, but now I feel like there's a lot of disturbing things on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, there's just so much on YouTube. I mean, it overwhelms me sometimes. You know? And I don't know about you, but I just have like a burning curiosity sometimes.
Yeah.
Most of the time, actually. So like, I'll just go down rabbit holes and find these amazing channels where people are putting their heart and soul into like one specific topic. Like I saw a video the other day where a guy went to the grocery store and bought one of the like seafood lobsters and kept it as a pet, and like talked about how slowly but surely like the muscles in the claws were built back, and he just.
That's pretty funny.
The funniest thing is you could tell the difference when the lobster was in captivity. He was not moving. But as soon as he kind of entered the tank, he was really active. He was moving things around. He was redecorating.
You know what's
I don't know.
You know what's a YouTube category that I never would have thought existed, but someone showed it to me, and it's a whole thing. There's channels dedicated to it. People who collect vintage MREs, like from the Army, and like ones from even World War II, like old ones, and then they will open them and unbox them on camera and then eat the stuff. And I'm always like, this looks nasty.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I've seen that. I think I've seen that. Where I just saw this one. It was there was a woman and she was eating just like different foods from a can. Like she made like a Thanksgiving dinner. Everything was from a can. Like the turkey was from a can. Like the potatoes and stuff. And she was just proving that you could do it, but it wasn't great. But hey, sacrifice your body for our entertainment, I guess. No, I'm kidding. It was actually a really good video. She also had another video too, which was fascinating. And well, maybe I shouldn't say this for legal reasons, but it was, she showed how to make basically wine from grape juice with like a slow cooker, Instapot type of thing. Wish I would have known that like 10 years ago.
Nice. So my last question for you to wrap up this discussion is, what is your favorite psychedelic album?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I'm gonna go with Smile, unless we can count Pet Sounds. You think Pet Sounds is psychedelic?
I think Pet Sounds has enough psychedelic elements to be considered, yes.
Okay, then I'm gonna go with. I just said Smile because it's a little more avant-garde.
Yeah.
Than because Pet Sounds is at the end of the day like a pop album. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like their songs have a little bit more structure than Smile. But okay, I'm gonna go with Pet Sounds. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Pet Sounds. The only one I keep thinking of is Revolver. I love Revolver. I like it more than Sgt. Pepper's. I know that's a controversial take, but
no, I think the reason Revolver gets so much love is because it's a transition album. It's like they were still holding on to some of the stuff from before, but it has some like I remember the first time I ever heard Tomorrow Never Knows. It's just blows your mind.
Well, I love And Your Bird Can Sing. That is some gnarly guitar work. You know?
That is a really good guitar part. I just thought about it.
Yeah. And then your day breaks. Your mind aches. That's a beautiful song. Actually, I don't mean to embarrass Paul McCartney, but he said he got in a fight with Jane Asher, his girlfriend at the time, and he started crying, and he went in the bathroom and wrote that song. Isn't that crazy?
I don't think that's embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, he'll never know. But, but it's amazing that we know that story.
Yeah.
But I know I said like 3 answers, but I'm gonna say Pet Sounds and Revolver. It's a tie between those.
That's perfectly fine. That's like my favorite era, pretty much. When it was like, to me, like 1966 was actually more of an interesting year than 1967, which is the Summer of Love, and everyone thinks of it as like, oh well, 67, all these amazing albums came out, and there was all this stuff going on in the world. But I think 66 was a cool year just because there was a lot of stuff like what is the band that sings I'm Into Something Good?
Herman's Hermits. Yeah.
Stuff like that to me was so cool because it was such a transition from like 50s doo-wop and stuff like that into, it was like, let's still sing in that style, but we're going to add in some really strange keys and notes and chords that no one really is familiar with. And,
gnarly guitar, like we said. I mean, but that's really the Beatles. I mean, the Beatles were just the beginning of everything that music could be. And I don't mean that in like this like worshiping Beatles mindset. I love the Beatles.
They're my favorite band, so it's fine. I'm cool with that. And I think anybody out there who's ever been like, I don't like the Beatles, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. No offense, but
bands wouldn't exist. The concept of a band, like a self-contained unit with 4 people who look like they belong together, who all play their own instruments, all sing, write their own songs. That was invented by the Beatles. And that is a concept that is going to be with our society forever.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's kind of interesting to me that, like, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones are always kind of put neck and neck as being, like, who's more popular and everything. And it's really hard to say. The Rolling Stones, to me, were more rock and roll. Whereas, like, the Beatles were more... I mean, just because, like, the Beatles were not as much bad boys the way that the Rolling Stones were.
Well, I think you wouldn't have the Rolling Stones without the Beatles. I mean, seriously, like, the Beatles were pioneers, you know?
Yeah.
Whether or not one's more talented than the other, I mean, who's to say? It's music, not basketball. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily about, like, a number or being better. It's just about creating. But there's definitely some amazing material in the Stones catalog. And honestly, my favorite Stones stuff is the early 80s. Tattoo You is a phenomenal album. Have you ever listened to that?
Mm-mm.
You should check that out. Hang Fire. That'll immediately get in your head. Neighbors. Oh, Neighbors.
I'll have to listen to it.
You know, it's just like one of those songs where Mick Jagger's just screaming at the top of his lungs.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that's I don't like really early Rolling Stone stuff. It has to, like, once we get into kind of Let It Bleed, Beggar's Banquet, that's when I can kind of hang on a little bit.
Well, since we're talking about psychedelic albums, and I feel like this one can be entered in the conversation, do you like Her Majesty's, I can't remember the...
Her Satanic Majesty's Request or whatever.
Yeah. It's a strange one.
It's very much... I see that album and I taste corporate. You know what I mean? Somebody told them to do that.
Yeah.
Look at the way the cover is set out. That's not something they came up with.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you said they're bad boys. They're rock and roll. They wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
They weren't taking acid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were drinking a fifth of whiskey and smoking cigs. You know, they were having their own reality, and it wasn't that. I do like She's a Rainbow though.
That is a great song. It was used in an Adobe ad for a long time. That was kind of really beautiful. Yeah. Another one, I don't know if you, I'm sure you've listened to, who am I thinking of? God, give me, Todd Rundgren.
Oh, of course.
So I can't remember the name of his album. He has one album, though, that's praised by a lot of people.
Wizard, A True Star?
No, it's not that one. Yeah. It's, I don't think it is, but it is... I didn't know that, like, the only Todd Rundgren song I knew was I Saw the Light, which is a great song, but, like...
You have to know, I Don't Want to Work, I Want to Bang on the Drum.
I didn't know that was him. Yeah. Okay, see, like, for some reason...
Like a cruise ship.
Yeah, I know, it's so strange. I would never think that was him. But he has a psychedelic album from that same era that is pretty immaculate. It's, like, it's very strange and weird, but that's another one that's worth looking into.
I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but he does have this really... That might be, you know, he's with a band called Nas or something like that. And that might be something from them. But he did this album, and this is later on. This is probably like 72, maybe 70.
Yeah.
But it's called A Wizard, A True Star, Wizard, True Star, something like that. And it's...
That might be it.
It might be, because that's credited as like the beginning of DIY music. Like he built a studio, played every instrument, produced it, wrote everything.
It's very avant-garde. It's very like experimental.
Yeah. And it's each song flows into the next one.
Yes, I think we're talking about the same album. Okay, I just didn't know the name of it for some
reason. There's a song in there from the Peter Pan musical, like Mary Martin. He does a cover of that, and it just flows right into it. And it's weird because some of the songs are just like him screaming, and then other ones are just like the most beautiful instrumental you've ever heard. Todd Rundgren is really revolutionary. I mean, that, like I said, that's the beginning of, we have him to thank for Ariel Pink, you know.
Oh yeah.
That's a controversy too. I don't
know. Well, you know, I was about to say, for some reason, I always get Todd Rundgren mixed up with Ted Nugent, and I was going to say, which at first I was going to say Ted Nugent, I was like, nah, that's definitely not what I'm thinking of.
Although he does have some cool albums.
No, I'm sure Ted Nugent has some good music.
Weekend Warriors.
I don't know any a lot of his music off the top of my head, but I'm sure I would enjoy some of it. And it is unfortunate. This is a whole other discussion that we'll get into some other time. I'll have you back on, but
part 2.
But no, for real. But basically, like Eric Clapton, he's one that I'm oh my god, like I didn't know how racist he was until the past.
Clapton's always what's the, I can't remember his name. I mean, it's not like I even need to know. It's a British politician that he followed. I can't remember, but Yeah, no, I mean, he even like said things at his concerts. You know what I mean?
Right? No, I mean, there were some things I read about him saying that, like, what I read online was that they directly, after his concert, where he, like, had a drunken, racist rant, that directly led to people founding organizations against, like, racism in rock and roll. And I'm like, no, that's pretty bad. But
Well,
anyway.
That's Eric Clapton for you.
Oh, yeah. Cocaine. Anyway. But yeah, go ahead and, tell people where they can follow you on social media.
Well, once again, my name is Jackie Whiting, and it was so nice to be here, by the way. So thank you so much, Peter, for having me. And the band Instagram is at ZyxBand, ZYXBAND. Give us a follow. We'd love for you to follow us. Once again, if you come to a show after you've already followed us and show us, we'll give you a sticker. And from there, you can see our upcoming shows, any releases that we have. We have new merch. We have T-shirts now, which we didn't have before.
Awesome.
And yeah, we have 3 shows next month, and it's August 14th in Athens at Lord's Bar, I believe.
Wait. You said, I think you messed it up.
I'm sorry, January 14th.
Yeah, okay.
What month is it? See, it's just a big blur.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure we had the right dates.
That.
Yeah, January 14th.
Yeah, so those dates are January 14th at Lord's Bar in Athens, and then January 15th, we're hitting the road to Opelika at Rock and Roll Pinball. And then the next week, in January 21st, we're at Sweetwater Bar and Grill in Duluth. So pretty busy month, which is much needed,
Awesome. Yeah. Go check Jackie Whiting and Zyx, ZYX, out on all their social media stuff, and go to one of their shows. Like they said, they'll give you a free sticker if you follow them on social media. And Jackie, it was awesome having you here. Thank you so much.
Let's party.
Thanks.